What makes one story trusted instantly, why another is dismissed as unreliable and misleading? It is not only the fact, it is how those facts are presented before they ever reached the reader. No, every headline that you see, every story that you see, every photograph that you see, every content that you read online, they were carefully passed, passed through an hidden funnel, which you never saw. There were there were hidden processes that made them, corrections, that redesigning, the process of editing actually made that content what they have become. And in the modern media, we have editing softwares, we have a lot of things that are no longer about fixing errors. It is about constructing meaning, guiding attention, and also, shaping public perception. Now, in this session, we will open up that process. We will trace how editorial decisions are made, how visual elements influences interpretation, and why editing sits at the center of media credibility in Nigeria and across journalism in the world. Now, by the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand clearly that news is not the same way that you ever thought it was. Okay, my name is Ola, as you have already known. If you want to know more about me, scan the QR code. And then it's time for us to check in. Scan this QR code and check in. Pause the video to check in. All right, thank you. Like I've mentioned, we'll be looking at copy editing in the news media. Now, this is different from copy editing for books, novels, and for every other thing that you ever thought of. So this is for news media. We'll be focusing on editing symbols and proofreading techniques. And I'll be sharing with you, I'll put in the description the link to where you can read more about that. Because we have one canonical editing symbols that is used for proofreading. If you are aware about my other course, Mark 206, where I'm teaching manuscript editing, you can find a video that speaks to this. So I don't have to repeat this in this video. So check the description and you'll find the content of the link to the place where you can find more details about editing symbols. I'm going to touch on this briefly. So now we will focus also on headline writing for print and digital platforms. So pay attention to it at the headline for print and digital platform, and as well caption writing for photograph and integration of graphics into editorial content. And lastly, we'll have a practical newsroom application like a simulation. So hopefully you're ready for this just like I am. So don't forget, our objective for today is that you should be able to edit a news copy using the standard proofreading symbols. Like I've mentioned, if you want to have access to that, please check the description for the link where it leads you to there. And also, I also provide links to two chapters of my monograph where you can read more on this. Also, how to apply the principle of clarity, accuracy, and conciseness to the process of news editing, writing professional headlines for newspapers and for online media, for magazines, or whatsoever platform, that newsletter and more. And we'll be able to, at the end of the lecture, our goal is to ensure that you are able to develop informative caption for photograph and integrates text graphics effectively into media publication. And lastly, to be able to demonstrate the use of digital editing tools. Are you ready for this? I am ready. What is copy editing in communication? Now we're going to define this copy. What do you think it is? You've heard about copy editing. Do you think it's different in this context? Put in the comments. Let me see. What do you think? Do you think editing? You can post the video, put it in the comment. Is editing different in the context of what we'll be talking about today? All right, yeah, it will be different. Copy editing, generally, it is a process of refining written materials to ensure clarity, to ensure accuracy, to ensure consistency and readiness for publication. So this is key. You don't want to miss this because it is a process of refining. If you fail to refine it, you'll be publishing rubbish. If you fail to ensure that there's clarity, you'll be confusing your readers. If you are publishing inaccurate content, then you'll be misleading them. If you're inconsistent, it means you're not professional. And if you're not ready for publication, obviously, there won't be anything to share. All right. Now, our focus is on editing and graphics of communication. I've introduced earlier that we have two components, editing and then graphics. What you have edited, you pass on to a graphic person who will then put it in a very compelling way to convince and to communicate effectively with the audience. So, in the news media, we have a style. Every newspaper have its style. If you've checked the front pages of different newspapers, you see that they have different styles. So these styles are unique to them. So you need to know what to do, how to edit, how to present the graphics for each medium, the color coding, the layout design, the framing of headline, the framing of content. And then we have editorial standard which define all of these things, and then integration of the graphics that I've just mentioned. And also how the processes of how they prepare things for print and also for digitalization. So notice now, what are the principles of effective editing? I'm going to keep things quite very snappy in this particular lecture. And principles. First thing is clarity. You know, in every communication, clarity is key. Clarity is the foundation. If you're not clear, you cannot communicating. You have to ensure that whatsoever you're trying to communicate is easy to understand. Secondly, accuracy. You have to ensure that the accuracy is guaranteed. There is correctness. You're not misleading. You're not misinforming. We're in the age of disinformation, misinformation, and all of this. So please, and malinformation. So, all right. So think about this. Accuracy is very important. If you are not accurate in your content, you will be misleading the audience. And then we have conciseness. You know, people don't have much time to read about to work their way into different overwhelming content. They need to be able to read and get what they want within a very short period of time. So you need to be concise, eliminate redundancies or repetition, and maintain a uniform style. This speaks to consistency. Be consistent to ensure uniform style. And then objectivity is another thing. This preserve neutrality. You need to be objective and not subjective. When you are writing subjectively, make it clear that this is a subjective content. I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you. All right, so it preserves your neutrality. Allow the audience to receive your content, process it, and make decisions themselves. So the knowledge will be unique and it will be dynamic, so they can get what they actually want. Because what Mr. A and Mr. B, Mr. C want from a lecture varies from one another. Sometimes Mr. A already knows something, Mr. B already knows something, Mr. C already knows something, and what their knowledge is different from what each other person's knowledge is. So when they come to class, they want to have some clarity. They want to know more, fill in the gap. And the gap that Mr. A will fill is different from what Mr. B will be, is different from what Mr. C will fill. That is why you have to be neutral. Be neutral. Preserve objectivity. Let the audience decide for themselves. Ensure you are also providing sufficient information to ensure that there is completeness of idea. And we'll move on to the editing symbols, which I talked about. Editing symbols are very important. Editing symbols are very important. What I will do is, again, I'll put it in the chat there. So there are some common editing symbols used in the newsroom, and you have them like the late, which is to remove text, the insert, add the missing component. We have the transpose, which is to reverse the order of word, the stat, which means let it stand the way it is. We have the new paragraph, the meaning that you should begin. Maybe you have a bulky paragraph, and then there is a sign that is input in between that bulky paragraph. It means you should start that in a new paragraph. I've make a description and explanation of this in a previous lesson. Please check out the description, and then you find the link to the video and also a link to the book, the monograph chapter. All right. So, and then we have capitalization, which is the use of signs and symbols on the lines, and then to make things uppercase or make it lowercase. So this is very important that you know this for yourself and you use it for your learning and for your improvements. Okay, so now I would move on to to the next slide, which is quite very important. But before I move on, this is using manuscript preparation for publication, news production, book, and all. There's a canonical rules for proofreading, and it's a standard for all. All right, let's do something practical. Let's do something practical. I'm going to present a raw copy for you, and I want you to look at this text. Take a look at the text. And figure out the errors in there. What are the errors in there? Can you now go to the comment section and correct this sentence? Retype it and make it correct. All right, put the correct copy in the comments. All right, have you done that? Thank you for doing that. Okay, now look at my correct version. Did you have this? If you did, you've done well. Okay, let's move on. What are headlines? Headlines are titles of news story designed to summarize content and to attract readers. They are the first thing that they see because it's arranged in hierarchy. I'll speak more to this in the part 2 of this particular lecture. And then the role of headline in editing and graphics is that it helps guide the layout design, it influences readers' engagement, it enhances visual hierarchy. What are the functions of headline? Headline helps summarize the story, it helps capture the attention, it helps provide visual structure, it helps reflect editorial tone. It also helps support the page design and layout. The way the headline is cast determines how the page turns out. If it is too long, it's gonna look horrible. If it is sharp, smart, and well written, it's gonna reflect. Let's talk about the types of headline. Types of headline. Okay. We've got the straight headline, which is informative. I'm going to provide a very practical example of this. This is the conceptual aspect of this class. And then we have question headline, we have the feature headline, we have the digital and SEO headlines. Those digital and SEO headlines, help push a story, push the newspaper. It's a promotional, it's sort of, it drives traffic. Feature headline gives a futuristic aspect of a story. Question headline asks questions, and straight headlines, go straight to points. I'm gonna give another lecture where the details in the next lesson, which is the part 2 of this lesson, you'll find more details there. Let's take a look at some Nigerian example. For example, we have federal government approved student loan scheme. This is straight and direct. And then we have the question of, will student loan transform Nigerian university? This is question headline. And we have a feature headline, a new dawn for Nigerian students. This is another kind of headline, a feature headline. And the last one is a federal government student loan scheme, eligibility and benefit explained. This is SEO. People want explanation. This is what will help some persons. Does that make sense to you? All right, good. So rules for writing effective headlines. You use present tense, you avoid unnecessary words, You should be accurate and factual. You use active voice. You avoid ambiguity and sensationalism. You reflect the story's core message. Now, let's talk about caption. What are captions? Captions are brief explanation accompanying photograph or graphics. They are the explainer. You would have seen photos and then you see a little some sentence under it explaining it. They are brief, they accompany the photograph and the graphics. And it is very important because it provides context, it enhances understanding, it helps prevent misinterpretation, and it supports visual storytelling. It helps you comprehend what you're saying. They say picture speaks a lot. It's worth thousands of words, but explainers give context. Pictures can be subjective, it can be interpreted wrongly, but the caption helps put it into context, it helps enhance your understanding and prevent misinterpretation and as well support visual storytelling. These are some of the guides you need to follow when you're writing an headline. Are you ready? So you have to identify the people and the places and the place where they are, the people in the photos are and places that the place where they are in photos. Describe the action, describe even their positioning where they are, and then provide relevant context. Be concise and be factual. Use present tense and verify the accuracy of the information you're giving. Take note of this. You can pause the video to take notes. That's totally fine. Okay. Now let's take a look at this other aspect of things, which is photograph editing for newspapers. When you're editing for newspaper, editorial considerations are very important, and this includes image clarity and relevance. Is the image clear? Is it relevant? Is the cropping and framing right? Now, talk about ethical standards. It's very important that you adhere to ethics of the profession, and the accuracy of the information you're passing on is intact. Align the accompanying text with the photograph and ensure that you don't mislead. There is a bad practice today where they use the wrong photograph to tell the wrong story, the another kind of story. That is misleading. Don't do that because it's unprofessional. This is an example of a weak caption. Students in a classroom is a weak caption because it doesn't make any sense. But look at this. Students of government secondary school, Lagos, during a digital literacy training session. This provides context. It is clear. It is informative. And you can't misinterpret it because you know where it shows the place, it shows who you're seeing in the photograph. Now, let's take a quickly look at the tools for editing. These are the tools: Microsoft Word, Google Docs, Canva, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign. I'm going to provide details information in the second part of this video. So copy editing helps you with track Microsoft Word help you with copy editing and track changes, meaning that you use copy editing and track changes in Microsoft Word, and you use Google Doc for collaborative editing using the suggestion. And the Canva can help you with graphic designs and layout. We'll be having some practical sessions, and Adobe Photoshop will help with photo editing. Why Adobe InDesign is used for newspaper and magazine layout. Take note of this. You'll be introduced to all of this. Now, integration of text. You integrate text and graphics. Effective communication requires harmony. Harmony is peaceful coexistence between headlines, image, caption, layouts, and typography. And the principle is that text and visual must complement each other to convey meaning. Complementing is not composite. Complementing, it means that one is supporting the other. Okay, now we have an in-class practical ability activity where you're going to edit a poorly written news story using proofreading symbols. You're going to write an appropriate headline, which we're going to do in the second part of this video, and you are going to be developing a caption for accompanying a photograph. You'll be preparing the content using digital editing tools. Prepare your mind for this and read more about it. But for now, what is the primary purpose of copy editing? What type of headline is most suitable for ad news? What is the main function of caption? Now, I want to give you an assignment for now before we do have our second part of the lesson. And then select a news article, edit the copy using proofreading symbols, like I've taught you. Rewrite the headline, provide a practical caption for related photograph. Submit both the original and edited version. I'm going to provide you a link on your group, and it's going to be timed when I'm ready. So we're going to determine that. For now, I want you to ask me questions. Scan this QR code, ask questions. All right, thank you. Now, key takeaways from this lesson is that copy editing ensures clarity, accuracy, credibility. It also helps headline shape readers engagement and page design. It's give you context to photograph. It provides meaning to photograph. It also help you understand and standardize ways of understanding things. So editing symbols is a way of using language that is commonly understood by different people. And digital tools enhance modern editorial practice. So I believe after this lecture, you should be able to identify and apply editing symbols. Edit news copy for publication, prepare photograph for newspapers, and demonstrate the use of editing software. Integrate text and graphics effectively. So now, this is the end of today's lesson, and I want you to check out now. Check out. Pause the video to check out. And the last part of it is my recommended list. These are some books that you can, find online, buy, and read. They are very good books. In my next lesson, I'll be sharing some pages from one of them. All right. Now, let's be focusing on typography. But before this week 4 lesson, we'll be looking at the second part of this practical lesson. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next lesson.